So the big question is this: how do most agents who struggle to get the information that most successful agents hoard to themselves grow and prosper without this information? That's the big question, and this video cast is the answer. Welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. I'm your host, Pat Hyben. Okay, Rockstar Nation, we have a great returning guest. I had so many reviews and so many people that reached out to me after he came on last when they were like, wow, this is amazing. Someone who was fired from a major brokerage and then went on and just bounced back like nobody's business and has created something incredible in Fargo, North Dakota, and who is growing by leaps and bounds. And they said, man, you got to get him back on the show. So here he is. He's back. Mr. Erik Hatch, excited to have you back on Real Estate Rockstars, buddy.
Thanks, my man. Good to be here. It is frozen outside, but man, I'm warm inside on my heart. So good to be here, man.
That's awesome. My wife and I started watching the Netflix thing, Fargo. I don't know if you've seen any of them. They're a little far out.
It's exactly like that here. Yeah, exactly. To a T.
All right, cool. Well, so why don't you introduce yourself to everybody in case they didn't hear your first episode, which was, by the way, episode 512, so they can get to know you better.
Sure. Erik Hatch, Fargo, North Dakota is where I call home. It's where I sell houses. I have been in the real estate industry now. I was part-time 2006 to the beginning part of 2011. So for 5 years, spent my time dabbling in full-time ministry and part-time real estate. In 2011, made the jump into full-time real estate, and then all of a sudden, after a year of that, I started a team because that's what everybody says to do, is to start a real estate team after a year, and I did everything wrong. I was a terrible leader, a terrible manager. I knew how to sell houses, but I didn't know how to lead and impact people's lives at that time, and so it all came crashing down on me in 2013. I got the gift of starting over and was introduced back into the workplace. Went around and started anew with a new real estate company. Was there for 9 months until I opened up my own. And so now I have had Hatch Realty, my brokerage, and where my team operates from for 4 years now, almost to the date. And our team is, as of 2016's production, we're the number 40 real estate team in the country when it comes to closed transactions. In 2016, we closed 594 transactions in Fargo, North Dakota. 2017, we'll finish out between 650 and 660 for closed transactions. So we've had about a 10% growth for transactions, but about a 15% growth for volume. And so we have had a lot of fun as we've done it. We got here pretty quick, and man, I've messed up a lot along the way. But my team, my team is a team of 40 people. Right now I have 2 expansion markets. One is brand new and just opened up, and the other is about 45 minutes outside of Fargo in a little lakes community. And that's the fun we're having right now.
That's amazing, man. Well, I love your just moving fast, right? You know, move like I heard this interview with Mark Zuckerberg last year that basically said for the first 5 years at Facebook, their motto was move fast and break things.
I moved fast and I got kicked out, so now I can break it on my own instead.
Yeah, yeah. So now you're breaking less and less, and you're moving fast and growing by leaps and bounds. So let's get to some nitty gritty. So what was the GCI on your team with those 512 units, or would you say it's been in the last 12 months? What's the ECI, ego commission income, that Erik Hatch could boast that's making you number 40?
So when we finished up at 594 transactions in 2016, we were at 4.1 million in GCI, and this year we're finishing at about 4.75 million, and so we're increasing there 650,000 in our GCI. So excited about that.
Bad.
That's
what's
real
your profit margin?
Money. Yeah. Happy to have that growth, and we think actually 2018 is going to be our year where we'll hit the 1,000 transaction mark. I'm really excited about that.
That's beautiful, man. Beautiful. What would you say your profit margin is on that?
I'm out of production. I don't sell anymore. In addition to that, we're giving away 18% of our profit back to our team. I believe in profit sharing and rising the tide for people, as well as we're giving back 23% of all of our profits back to the community. And giving back, and it's just a part of who I am naturally, is I want to help make everybody else's world better. And so I work in my business probably 2 days a week right now, and I'll profit 14% of the 4.6 million.
Yeah, so
4.7 million.
$500,000.
Yeah, just over that. Yep.
So let me ask you this,
and then I get a salary too on top of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Do you know how much of the actual, because I know you're capped at, right? You're capped at a certain amount, right? You're given, if you make you make five, let's say you make $6 million, 20% of $6 million is $120,000. You give
1.2 million. Yep.
You can't write off. What do you cap at writing off? Isn't it like 10 grand or something? I mean, it's like
for charitable nations. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't care. There are tax moves that I can do, and there's strategic giving that you can do. I don't need more money, Pat. Yeah,
but I mean, some people would look at that and say some of that money, right, you're giving plus a third, right, because you're actually paying taxes on it. So if you give somebody $1 million, let's say you're capped at 10 grand or something. I think it's 5 or 10 grand. I don't know what.
I think it's more than that. I don't know that. I'm not a CPA, but I understand, and that's one of the conversations I'm having with my leadership team right now, is to figure out how to give more strategically. We're failing forward as we go, and so if anybody has suggestions on how to give more strategically, my goal and something I'm insanely proud of is not just the giving that I get a chance to be a part of, but the giving that my organization gets to do. I'll give you an example, as I have an agent on my team.
Yeah, please.
His name is Kyle, and Kyle Reedstrom joined me about 3 years ago. As he came, he was an engineer by trade and came to work for me and signed up to be a showing partner. And we pay our showing partners a base salary of $30,000. And so he came to me making $30,000. 9 months later, graduated to be a buyer agent, and at the age of 26, made a 6-figure income for the first time in his life. And he said to me, Eric, when I'm 30 years old, I want to donate $100,000 to charity. Had a giving heart and said, I strategically want to donate $100,000, which I thought was
like a one-time thing or total in his lifetime or before he's 40.
One-time thing. When he's 30, he said, I want to donate $100,000. And I challenged him to say, you can just wait until you're 30 and then just donate one lump sum. But wouldn't it be better if we had you train and had you work up your giving so that year one, we devised a plan when he's 27 years old that he donates $10,000. When he's 28, he donates $30,000. When he's 29, he donates $60,000. And when he's 30, then he'll donate the $100,000. It's like training for the marathon, right? You earn your way, because he was doing it to have a changed heart. And he was doing it because he desperately wanted to impact his own life, and knowing that he would find that value from impacting other people's. And so he now just completed his 28th year of donating $30,000 on his 28th year, and next year will be $60,000 and then $100,000. And so where I can talk about the giving that I get to be a part of, what I'm even more excited about, Pat, is that we're really creating an army of givers here, and people who are having great lives and making great wealth, which is exciting. They're finding their incredible value in giving it away. And I'm not the only one in our world, and it's really addicting. The retention rate that we have is about 90% over the last 4.5 years, because we're having people make great wealth, but they're also giving great opportunities to other folks also.
Wow, that's incredible. So like what sort of, how are you giving, how are you involving your team in giving, and who are you giving to, and describe the process if somebody listening wants to do the same thing?
Yeah, it's a part of our value proposition, really. If you're going to come here, you have to have a giver's heart and a servant heart. And if you caught at the top of the show, my background is in ministry. And when I made the switch working in a nonprofit to working in a for-profit, I really struggled with my identity. And I'm 37 years old right now, Pat, and one of the things you'll find out is that millennials especially, and they're not the only ones, but millennials want to have a purpose behind what they're doing. You'll find that in any generation, but it's amplified with millennials, that they want to have more value with what they're doing. And they care more about the purpose than they do the profit, although both are important. And so we've been able to lean into that and to create in our world an army of givers, especially with millennials. My team is 80% millennials.
I want you to think about the word toolbox. What is a toolbox? A toolbox is a box full of tools that you use to build something great. At Real Estate Rockstars, we've created our own free toolbox. So everybody that comes on the show as a guest brings a tool with them, and we plow them all into this toolbox, and we give it away for our viewing audience to basically use as they wish. Everything we put in there is an actionable item that can be downloaded, can be printed, can be used immediately. And we got things like scripts and dialogues, checklists for teams, checklists to keep agents accountable, referral forms that are filled out at settlement to get referrals by your buyers and sellers. Everything you could think of that you could use on a regular basis about real estate is included in this toolbox. And it's helping agents worldwide sell more houses and make their jobs a lot easier and processes much more efficient. And the thing is, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is go to hibandigital.com/toolbox or text the word toolbox to 444-999. That's toolbox 444-999. Do it now.
It's a young.
Wow. Okay. And what's the age for millennials again?
Anybody under 35 right now. Okay. All of our
80%,
salespeople.
huh?
Yeah, I have I have 3 of my salespeople that are not millennials, and everybody else is. It's wild.
Okay.
And so with these millennials, and we're giving them purpose. What we're doing is we're creating what I like to affectionately call a side hustle. And I actually had the privilege of doing a TED Talk on this a couple of months ago. So if you Google my name and TED Talks, I have 2 of them now, and this is one of them, is to talk about running a for-profit with the heart of a nonprofit. And the core of it is there's 3 ways that you can get there. The first is you start a new business. Think of Tom's Shoes, for example. Tom's Shoes is set on the precedent to buy a pair and give a pair. Every pair of shoes that you buy, Tom Shoes donates a pair to somebody in need in a third world country. And to date, they've given over 60 million pairs of shoes, and yet they're a highly profitable business. And so number one is you can start a business from scratch that has purpose at the core of it. The second thing is you can get kicked out and start anew, and that's where I found my purpose was starting over. I don't recommend that for anyone, and yet it was a really great learned lesson for me, Pat. Is I had this chance to study who I was going to be as a leader and the actual values of our organization that had people drawn to it as a magnet. Because for us, like I said, it's part of our value proposition.
I mean, so, like, what are some of the companies that you donate to that your millennials are kind of really gravitating for? You know what I mean? Like Tom's Shoes, they're all about needy kids with shoes.
Right.
So, and they feel that.
So I had the privilege in 2010 of taking a group of young people, and we went down to Port-au-Prince, Haiti, the capital of Haiti, and this was immediately after the earthquake. Well, it was August of 2010, and as a sweaty person in general, going to Haiti in August of 2010 was a very, very wet experience. But we went there, and we ended up working at a place called the Son of God Orphanage in Carrefour, Haiti. And 126 kids were calling this place home when we got there. 15 of us walked through what felt like a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory ever-shrinking doorway. And as we got through that doorway and found ourselves entering in, we had 126 kids grab onto us and not let us go. In there, we played for hours and we laughed, and they spoke Creole and we spoke English, but we had the international language of love and playfulness and affection that was running rampant. And my heart broke at that moment Fast forward to us coming back to the stateside, and 3 months later, I see across CNN.com a story that says that the Son of God orphanage in Carrefour, Haiti is corrupt. And of the 126 kids that were there, a number of them had been sold into the sex trade industry or reportedly murdered for organ harvesting.
Oh my God.
And my heart ripped out of my chest. And I said, these are kids that I've held. These are kids that I've cared about. And when you've been there, everything changes. And for me, I had been there, and I knew that I needed to do something. Because immediately after that, I found myself in a for-profit world, working in real estate for the first time full-time, and I had wealth, and I felt guilty about it. And turns out I'm not the only person that feels guilty sometimes about making a great living. And it wasn't to feel bad about what I had, but it was this call to action to do something more. And so I took those emotions, and I met up with one of my good friends, Nick Shivers, out of Portland, Oregon, runs an incredible real estate team there. And he and I both had hearts for third world countries and kids in third world countries and orphanages. And I actually wanted to start an orphanage so this kind of corruption wouldn't exist again. And it's really tricky and really expensive to start an orphanage. And so Nick and I started a movement for realtors and vendors and mortgage companies and title companies and everyone in between. It's called Sell a Home, Save a Child. If you go to sellahomesaveachild.org, we're empowering people throughout the real estate industry to give pay-it-forward gifts in honor of our clients. And so to get to your question, Pat, and that was, what are we doing as like a nonprofit to get people excited, or what kind of involvement do we have for folks on our team? People know from the moment that they start working here that we're in the business of saving kids and selling houses.
Wow, I love this. Is deep. Saving kids and selling. Okay, so what happened? So take me through like the donation process, and where's it go? Did you build an orphanage? What'd you do?
At the root of it, you can sign up for different sponsorship levels, and with different sponsorship levels, you can then use the Sell a Home, Save a Child marketing materials and that sort of thing. And so it breaks down to this: is that Nick and I give in larger donations and larger formats than anybody else is across the country. And yet some people are signing up for, it's a $750 a month is the top tier donation level. It starts as low as I think $250 a month. And you can choose to give on a per transaction basis or just in a lump sum, but it has to meet at least those minimums in order to use the advertising for it. And the idea is we want people to make a socially conscious decision to have purpose and meaning behind their business. And it's not just about the get, it's about the give. And the crazy business strategy about all this is that the law of attraction that comes from running a giving organization has created more business than we thought possible. Our clients feel like they're a part of the mission. When they sit in our closing room, they look at pictures that we've taken from mission trips to save these very kids and to protect these girls from the sex trade industry and to protect them from living in the garbage dumps. And we tell that story to our clients. If you ever wanted to have something that aligns to your heart and is also a strategic business move, it's this. And it's provided such inherent value, which means that we have less turnover for our team members. We have a higher likelihood of clients wanting to work with us. And then when it comes to negotiating fees, they don't really do it because they know that they're negotiating money that can go to help protect those girls.
Yeah, because what did you say, 23%?
I can't hear you, Pat. I'm sorry.
Would you say 23% of the commission goes to that? Is that what you said?
Well, we have some local organizations that we're big supporters of as well. But I would say that we've given away 23% of our net profit to organizations. And
then what do you do in-house? Like, do you have video chats, with Haiti or with, the organization? Or how do you remind your team of the soul that you've created? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm asking?
I do. This isn't the only area in which we've given. In fact, one of the things that we've done is we've created something called a multiply movement, where if I'm the only one giving, it stops there, right? And our charge and our challenge is to have everybody be generous givers in our organization. And so we've created 3 different multiply movements, and I seeded them with some original cash out of my pocket. And this was done in 2016, so it's been running about a year and a half now. We had a multiply a local movement, which is helping nonprofits around the area here. And so people are actively volunteering in this, because when I was covering the 3 areas of a way in which to infuse this into your organization, I again said you start anew, you get kicked out, or number 3 is you create a side hustle. And for us, we were an organization that was running, and so we created a side hustle. And this side hustle is our multiply movement. And so the local one is creating a movement where we're doing a gala here in a couple of months to raise hopefully up to $100,000 for the United Way of our area. And these are our team members who are running it and impacting the community, so that it's not just something that we talk about, that we care about, it's something that we actually live out. The second one we did is we did a Multiply Us. And from that, I gave an original seed donation of $10,000 to this organization. And they've created an investment and a retirement account for our entire team, salespeople and admin alike. That $10,000 original seed money is going to turn into millions of dollars of investments for people, because we have 2 guys who used to be financial planners on our team. And they're taking it and they're running it and they're creating opportunity for other people. And this third one, Pat, our third Multiply group, is we created a Multiply Global group, where they're literally the fuel behind Sell a Home, Save a Child. It's not just me that's talking about it. I have a group of 10 engaged team members on a regular basis trying to figure out how do we create a higher level of engagement for my team, for this community, and for these kids in Nicaragua, Kenya, Haiti, and Mexico.
Wow.
And so the secret to all this here is that at the root of it, I've multiplied leadership, and we've multiplied dollars, and we've multiplied intentions in our community.
That's crazy. Besides,
I can't hear you, Pat.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Allie, cut that out with the. Okay. So Eric. So all right. So besides donating $1 million amongst the team and getting their souls behind, something, what are some other tips that you can give us for leadership of millennials? Because I think you've become, not necessarily by design, but you have become an expert at this.
Thank you. I think the leadership of millennials is a really heavy-laden question. There's fortunately people out there who are smarter than me and more astute, where I copy what they do and figure it out on my own. The first is, of course, I think to have purpose behind your business. That is a fundamental piece that has led to retention and satisfaction and everything else. One of the things about millennials that I find fascinating is that people often say that they're hard to lead. And I would beg to differ. I actually think that millennials are sometimes easier to lead. That is, of course, if you're hiring correctly, and that is going through an arduous amount of questions and other things. But remember, I'm a former youth director that worked at a church. I got paid, not well, but I got paid to impact the lives of kids. And I loved working with kids because they believed, they were dumb enough to believe that anything was possible. There was a built-in naivety that comes with being a young person. The millennials are the same people that I was leading 10 years ago in the ministry world, that we would talk about possibilities instead of impossibilities. But then what mattered most is that they needed to know that I cared. They needed to know that they weren't working for me, but rather I was working for them. Because it's first in language. I've heard once that your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits, and your habits become your destiny. So your first thought with a millennial has to be, this is a person of value. This is a person who I want to enhance their world, and I know that they can enhance mine, right? So that there's your thoughts, is you have to be thinking positively of this person. Because Pat, if I don't think you're worth investing in, I'm not ever going to give you my best.
I want you to think about the word toolbox. What is a toolbox? A toolbox is a box full of tools that you use to build something great. At Real Estate Rockstars, we've created our own free toolbox. So everybody that comes on the show as a guest brings a tool with them, and we plow them all into this toolbox, and we give it away for our viewing audience to basically use as they wish. Everything we put in there is an actionable item that can be downloaded, can be printed, can be used immediately. And we got things like scripts and dialogues, checklists for teams, checklists to keep agents accountable, referral forms that are filled out at settlement to get referrals by your buyers and sellers. Everything you could think of that you could use on a regular basis about real estate is included in this toolbox. And it's helping agents worldwide sell more houses and make their jobs a lot easier and processes much more efficient. And the thing is, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is go to hibandigital.com/toolbox or text the word toolbox to 444-999. That's toolbox 444-999. Do it now.
Ever, ever, ever. And so if I'm giving my best to a millennial, I know without doubt that they're going to be able to step up, and my thoughts then will become my words. And if you know the 5 love languages, I'm a words of affirmation guy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Well, let's dig into that just a little bit. Just what are the 5 love languages? Real fast. So
sure. So there's physical touch, which I recommend keeping out of the workplace.
Yep. Of course. Absolutely. Especially today, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Then there's words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation. Yep. Which makes sense, right? Giving them compliments.
Correct. There's time.
Quality time, right? Which is hard to do in the workplace, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you can have a one-on-one meeting, but it's hard if you have a big organization. Okay, what's number 4?
Acts of service.
Acts of service.
Yep.
Like acts of service is opening the car, like in a marriage, right? It's like doing the dishes after she cooks, and then she does the dishes. You know what I mean? Okay, what's the 5th one?
Gifts.
So, I guess you can encompass all of those, in the workplace. What are you saying is the most important with millennials leading a real estate team?
I think it's a combination of acts of service and words of affirmation.
Acts of service and words of affirmation. So let's hyper focus on those 2.
Yes, sir.
Love languages. How do you show acts of service on a real estate team?
It's shrinking down the space between our words and our actions, and that ties to a words of affirmation as well. But allow me to articulate that.
Yeah, please break it down.
If I were to say to you, Pat, I really, really care about you. I'm invested in your success. And then my actions don't show that, there is a dissemination.
How would you act, right? Would you sharpen the pencils for them? I mean, you got an employee, right, that's a receptionist, or you got an employee that's an agent, you're running around busy. How do you give them, besides giving them a $100 bill, right? How do you give them an act of, what kind of service can you provide them? Coaching?
I read a study once that said that they did over at this corporate environment, they did in a study of what brought the most satisfaction for team members. And they did 3 things. The first is they gave the $100 bonuses you just mentioned as a way to say, here you go, I'm thankful for what you do. The second is they gave a half a day off. So on Friday at noon, everybody's done. You get the rest of the day off. And the third is they threw a pizza party. And wouldn't you know, it was about 70% of people that were most satisfied with the pizza party. The least expensive, and yet it was the most impactful. Because if I give you $100, you're going to spend it on a bill. And if I give you a half day off, you're going to run errands. And if I give you a pizza party, I'm giving you an experience that you wouldn't necessarily forge on your own.
So they value experiences.
It's all about experiences, and therein lies the roots of your question here, Pat. Is
I love
how do we give that front desk person an experience, and how do we make them feel loved through an act of service? And that is creating for them an environment that gives them value. It's creating for them a side hustle. It's having a book study that speaks to them. It's about having a lunch group that they can engage with. It's about buying a gym membership for them because they wouldn't buy it on their own. It's on the week before Christmas, gifting them $200 in cash and saying, you got to go spend this on yourself. It's doing all these acts of service to show up for your team that says, I see you. I value you. And even if my time doesn't allow me to be face-to-face with you, I care about you, and I'm going to make sure that the people in your world know it.
I love it. I love it. And I love that you broke it down to, experiences. We've had a lot of experts come on here and say how millennials value experiences over actually, when it comes to real estate, as buyers, they value experiences over space, right? In a house, right? Where other generations value space. They'll get the biggest house they can and have all these rooms with nothing in them, but then they'll never take a vacation. And it's the opposite of millennials. They're like, I don't need that damn space. What do I need that for? All I need is a kitchen and a bedroom. I'm exaggerating, but but hey, show me where all the festivals are, and I want to go travel the world. So, and again, exaggeration, but just trying to get the point. So let's go on to affirmation. The second love languages that millennials need on a real estate team. How do you ensure that your millennials are getting the appropriate amount of said love language?
Simon Sinek, who's one of my favorite authors and speakers, talks a lot about dopamine.
Yes.
Dopamine. Yep. It's this instant gratification thing that we get from social media, and it's how we're always looking for affirmation, and it's how we're looking for that kind of support. And the ironic thing about most of our worlds is that it feels so much better to be face to face and to build somebody up than it does to get it through social media and other things. And so if we can understand the addiction that we have for that next text message or that next Facebook message, and that is when that comes, people are saying, I see you, I value you, I appreciate you. I must say in my world, probably a half a dozen times a day, because every time I show up to the office, I do an intentional walkthrough. And I make sure that every person is seen. They don't need to see me, but I need to see them. And I stop by and I check in and I make sure that I know something about their personal life that's going on in the recent. I'm still a part of the interview process, and so I'm a part of learning a lot about them. But I'll stop by and I'll say, Lucas, how's your new baby? I know Oliver's only 4 months old. Are you getting enough sleep? And he'll say, yeah, man, I'm doing okay, but I'm struggling with work. And what I'll do then is I'll make sure that I say these words, and it's 100% the truth. They'll say, man, I'm so proud of you. And affirming. Now, we could go back into daddy issues, and I got a lot of them going back to trying to hear those words.
Right. Everybody does, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I never heard those words from my dad growing up. He wasn't in my life, and I craved hearing them. And so I simply am creating a world and a culture. Millennials are not, where I'm trying to affirm people all the time and to tell them, if I think it, I'm going to say it, right? Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits, and your habits become your destiny. And it's my job to be an affirmer in my office every day. As there's a difference between leadership and management, because management says this is what you're doing, that's wrong sometimes. And leadership needs to do that also. And yet I haven't earned the right to be heard by some of these people because I'm not their direct report. To my direct reports, we talk all the time about the things that they need to do to increase their production in their world. But for the majority of my team, they're not my direct reports. And so all they hear from me is affirmation. They won't hear any negatives, just my direct reports will.
Wow. I love that, dude. I love that. That's awesome, mate. I love how you've brought, the 5 love languages to a real estate team, because it's an awesome book. I've read it several times, and I mean, it's spot on. It's right. It's correct. So this is really cool. Okay. So Erik, as you know, everybody that comes on the show brings with them a free gift to give to the Rockstar Nation. And we put that gift in our Agent Success Toolbox. What are you bringing today for the agents listening?
I'm going to give you an electronic version of our pre-listing packet. Awesome. It is literally worth hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, because we have tweaked and critiqued and come up with our entire pre-listing gift that we can give to our clients that we're also now giving to you. So it's 32 pages long of incredible over-the-top type of stuff.
That's awesome, dude. Okay, so guys, I am going to put that on hibandigital.com Erik H. That's Hyben Digital. Let's see. I think you since you were on one time before, I'm going to put Erik H2. Make this easy. Well, here's the thing too, guys. Erik is spelled with a K. But anyways, Erik with a K, H, and the number 2. That's Erik H2. HybenDigital.com / Erik H2. All that and all of Erik's information are going to be on the show notes, in the show notes, everything that we've talked about today. In addition to that, it will always be in the Agent Success Toolbox, which can be found on hybendigital.com / toolbox, or by texting the word toolbox to 444-999. Erik, Mr. Erik Hatch, thanks so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it, and good catching up with you.
Thanks, brother. God bless.
Thank you for watching Real Estate Rockstars. Please give us a review wherever you're watching or wherever you're listening. We eat feedback for breakfast, and I don't care whether you give me a 1-star review or a 5-star review. I just want the review. I want to know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. Would love to improve things. Hey, and listen, please subscribe. The more subscribers we get and the more reviews we get, the better guests we'll get for you in the future. Feel free to reach out to me anywhere on social media. Just type in my name. I'm everywhere, and I look forward to meeting you in the digital world. Have a great day, and thanks again for listening to Real Estate Rockstars.